Question. Describe your favourite movie. You should say what the film is about, why you like it so much, what message the movie gives. Answer. It's quite hard to say what my favourite movie is because there are quite a few to choose from. But I would say that the one that made the strongest impression on me is a German film called The Lives of Others. This film is set in communist East Germany, shortly before the fall of the Berlin Wall. At that time, the Stasi, the East German secret police, used to spy on all kinds of people. The two main characters in the film are a playwright called Draiman and a Stasi spy called Weissler, whose job it is to keep Draiman under 24-hour surveillance. Weissler is supposed to be reporting back to his superiors at the Stasi in order to discredit the playwright. However, he develops a strong sympathy for the playwright and his girlfriend and determines to protect them by not reporting anything significant. The scenes in the film where it cuts from the colourful and interesting lives of Draiman and his friends to the lonely attic where Weissler is sitting really show the contrast between the two men. The film is shot in such a way that it makes you believe you are also spying on Draiman. It even made me feel a bit guilty. I like this film because it has fascinating three-dimensional characters and also the plot has plenty of twists. Right up until the end of the film, we are left guessing how it could possibly end. It is also very thought-provoking because it makes you wonder how many people working for the Stasi actually did protect the people they were spying on. As for the message it gives, I would say the main message is that we can find kindness and humanity in the most unexpected of places. The film makes us realise that nothing is ever black and white. The film also serves as a warning about the dangers of an oppressive, paranoid regime and is perhaps quite pertinent in this current age of mass surveillance. The Festival of Christmas. Question. Describe a festival that is important in your country. You should say when the festival occurs, what you did during it, what you like or dislike about it, and explain why this festival is important. Answer. I think the main festival in my country is Christmas, which is in late December. The main day that is celebrated in the UK is Christmas Day on the 25th of December, though we also have the day off the following day on Boxing Day, when many people visit friends and extended family. I spent last Christmas with my family and will also spend this one there too. We all get together at my parents' house because it is large enough to host everyone. On Christmas morning we start preparing the meal as it takes a long time to cook. We put the turkey or goose in the oven and then some of us go to church for a Christmas Mass. The rest of us stay behind to carry on cooking. At around midday, we gather round the Christmas tree, which is decorated with baubles, tinsel and fairy lights, and we open our presents, which are all placed under the tree the night before. After that, we have our Christmas dinner, which is always the same meal, as it is a traditional feast. I love nearly everything about Christmas. There is a sense of anticipation and excitement in the period leading up to Christmas, and then, during the festival itself, families and friends spend time together and most people have time off work. One thing I don't like about Christmas is that it is very commercialised and it can be stressful getting ready for it. This festival is important for many people, even for non-Christians. Many non-Christian people in the UK enjoy the festive season without attaching any religious significance to it. It's our only national holiday involving resting, feasting and the giving of gifts, and I think such times nurture our souls. A famous scene in your hometown. Question. Describe a famous scene in your hometown. you should say where it is, what you can see, why you like it or dislike it, and how it makes you feel. Answer. One of the most famous scenes in London, my hometown, is the view of St. Paul's Cathedral, seen from the south bank of the River Thames. St. Paul's is one of the most historic buildings in London and one of London's most famous landmarks. When it is viewed from across the Thames, we can clearly see the classical dome of St. Paul's and the beautiful proportions of the higher parts of the building. To the right of St. Paul's Cathedral, some of the modern skyscrapers in the city area, which is the financial district of London, stand out against the sky. I love this view of the London skyline from the South Bank, as the contrast between the old and the new, the ancient and the modern, really seems to represent the spirit of London. In addition, we can also see the River Thames in the foreground, which throughout history has been the lifeblood of the city. In my opinion, the best views of London always include the river. I love to imagine the scene from days gone by, with hundreds of small boats on the water. I think this view of the city is at its best in the evening sun, because the stone of the cathedral has a warm glow and the glass windows of the skyscrapers look like gold as they reflect the setting sun. Question. Describe your hometown. You should say where it is located, what it's known for, what are the main industries in your hometown, what languages are spoken there, what are the advantages and disadvantages of living there, and what problems your hometown faces. Answer. My hometown is London, the capital city of the UK. It's located in southeast England on the River Thames. It is well known around the world for its amazing history, architecture, music and fashion. I think what makes my hometown special is the fact that you can meet all kinds of people there, as it's a melting pot of hundreds of different communities, cultures and languages. The main language is English, but this is spoken with a wide variety of accents and dialects. The advantages of living in London are the high employment prospects, the range of things to do such as cultural and social activities, and the beautiful parks and river. Some of the main industries in London are tourism, retail, finance, creative industries, education, banking and so on. So the job opportunities are good, and it's quite easy to travel around London on the tubes, buses and overground trains. However, one of the main downsides of London is the cost of living. Rent and travel costs are some of the highest in the world, so any advantage of higher wages is usually cancelled out by higher living costs. If you don't like crowds, you'd better stay away from the city centre, but I guess that is true of any city. London also faces environmental problems such as air pollution caused by heavy traffic, and also flooding, as it's in a river valley and some areas of London are lower than the level of the river. It also faces social problems such as overcrowding and homelessness, and in some areas, social tensions. London is more cosmopolitan and much larger than any other city in the UK, and compared with Paris, the capital of France, London has a higher population and is also greener in terms of the number of parks and open spaces. How to describe a tree in autumn. Just look at the autumn leaves on this beautiful tree. The colours are amazing, aren't they? I took this photo in a town called Athlone in Central Ireland. If you ever do an English examination, you will need to learn how to describe a picture for your speaking exam, so here is an example of how to do it. Below that, there's a study of some useful phrases for describing pictures. These pictures show two different views of a tree in autumn. In the left-hand picture, we can see the leaves of the tree with the sun shining on them. The colours in this photo are amazing. The leaves are gold, orange, yellow and brown. They remind me of a fire burning because the colours and shapes of the leaves look just like the flames of a fire. This is obviously a very tall tree because the view in the photo looks up into the branches of the tree and we can see more and more branches up high in the distance. It's obviously a bright, clear day, and it's also likely to be rather chilly because clear, sunny days in autumn often mean cold weather. In the picture on the right-hand side, we can see a carpet of gold-coloured leaves that have fallen from the tree. The sunlight is making the leaves look as if they are glowing. On the left-hand side of the picture, we can see part of the tree trunk, and at the top we can see a couple of large branches covered in autumn leaves. The sun must be to the left of the tree because the trunk is casting a shadow on the wall and also on the ground between the tree and the wall. Both these pictures make me think of a wood where I used to play when I was a child. In the autumn, we used to gather up the leaves and throw them at each other. There is something rather sad about the beautiful season of autumn, because although the woods look stunning as their leaves die and fall to the ground, we know that winter is coming and the tree will soon be bare, with no leaves until the new ones grow in spring.
Question. Describe your favourite season in your country. You should say when that season is, what the weather is like at that time of year, how that season is different from other seasons, and why it is your favourite season. Answer. I love all the seasons, but I think my favourite is spring. As the UK is in the Northern Hemisphere, spring lasts from March to May. In early spring, our weather can be anything from freezing cold to warm and sunny, but later in the season it gets consistently warmer. In some ways, spring is no different from the other seasons, as they are all a time of change and, in the UK, of rather unpredictable weather. But the main way that spring is different from other seasons is the same reason that it's my favourite season. I love it because everything is growing, everything is fresh and new. After the dark, cold days of winter, the days start getting longer as there's more daylight. After the spring equinox on the 21st of March, the days are longer than the nights, and this lasts until the autumn equinox on the 21st of September. I love the time in late March when the clocks go forward by 1 hour, from Greenwich Mean Time to British Summer Time, and we have an extra hour of daylight in the evening. One of the best things about spring is that the plants and trees come to life again. On the trees we can see new leaves growing. Fruit trees, such as cherry and apple trees, develop beautiful pink and white blossoms, and colourful flowers such as daffodils and crocuses bloom in parks and gardens. The sounds of spring are wonderful too, when birds start singing more as they look for a mate and then start building their nests. It's not just nature and the countryside that come to life again in spring. In towns and cities, cafes, pubs and restaurants start putting their tables outside again, and people sit in the sun drinking and eating. The parks are full of people walking, cycling and playing sport. It's a fantastic season.
Question. Describe a time that you watched the sky. You should say when this happened, who you were with, what you saw, and how you felt about watching the sky. Answer. I spend quite a lot of time watching the sky, but I think the most memorable time that I was sky gazing was about 3 years ago. I was with my husband Brendan and we were having a picnic on the hills outside Lewes, a town in the southeast of England. I think the reason I can recall it so well is that the sky was so dramatic that I took a photograph of it. I remember it was a calm, sunny day in the middle of summer. The sky was a clear, deep blue, with only a few light clouds, but in the distance I could see the sky was darkening. Then the wind started blowing quite hard, and huge, fast-moving clouds that were billowing like the steam from a steam train came rolling towards me. Even though the sky was still blue, I could tell it was going to rain a short time later, probably with some thunder as well, so we started packing away our picnic. Then, all of a sudden, a shaft of sunlight shone out from behind one of the clouds up into the sky above it. The sunbeams lit up the clouds above them. It was an awe-inspiring and quite magical sight, with the rays of the sun in the shape of a fan around the top of the cloud. It was at this point that I took the photo. My feelings changed as I watched the sky that day. At first, when the sky was clear and blue, it made me feel very calm and quite lazy, as though I could sit there for hours. Then, as the clouds started to gather, I felt a little apprehensive, as I wasn't sure how quickly the storm would come and how heavily it would rain. But when the sun shone out from behind the cloud, I felt a sense of wonder at the beauty of nature. It made me think of the proverb, "Every cloud has a silver lining," because this cloud really did have a silver lining.